Hello and welcome back to yet another edition of the Spillin It Pod. Can't believe we're still doing this and they pay us all this money to do it. We're having a
Honestly,
great time.
the paycheck is it's burdening, making
It
so
really
much
is.
cash.
I know I'm being weighed down by my pockets right now from how much we're making off of this pod. But it's good to see you again, Ben. I love the festive theme you got going on behind you and a nice festive beard you got going on as well.
It's out of hand. It really is. I was at work today and I caught myself in the mirror in the bathroom and I was like, I've let myself go and this is a wake up moment. And nobody was brave enough to say it to me, which I both appreciate and don't appreciate. So I'm glad that you finally have pointed it out because I've been thinking these thoughts for myself. So.
No, it looks excellent. I have some firewood that needs to be chopped in the back.
Do you have like a flannel, some overalls, and like a red beanie and like a vaguely like coal miner type oil prospector name that I could adopt?
I have honestly most of that for you. The flannel does have spider punk on the back of it, if that works for you.
I can cover it up with the overalls.
Okay. All right.
Channel my inner Yukon Cornelius.
There we go. Bumbles do bounce. All right. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and just get right into the sports talk this week. And we got a lot of fun things coming for you this show. Um, but really, this is going to be the first time we talk at length about college football on this pod,
True.
and it's a little overdue, but I think we're going to have a ton of fun breaking down the college football playoff predictions. We have our set field here, and we're not going to spend a lot of time, I think, talking about who should have been in, who's not, right? That debate has been
Jesse's like, I know two places Ben wants to start, and I'm just gonna chop them out.
I'm just cutting them right now. But regardless, the field is set, and we'll go ahead and start making some predictions here, and then we'll start kind of talking about things as we go. But for this, we got the first round of the college football brackets, and we got four teams on bye. That is going to be Texas Tech, Indiana, Georgia, and Ohio State, the top four teams in the country going into the playoffs. But for these matchups, we had some really interesting ones, just some teams that you don't normally put together. And I think that's the beauty of the expanded playoff this year is that we're going to have some teams that don't normally get to make it, try to make some noise and some program defining potential wins here. First matchup we got is Oregon versus James Madison. And honestly, James Madison, great story. I think it's really cool that they're there. I love seeing the celebration that they had, but I think this one's going to be a bit of a buzzsaw, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Oregon is a 21.5 point favorite in this game, and I very much am pro like the group of five needs representation. And I just think that Oregon's going to wipe James Madison from the face of the earth. Now, I'm
Yes.
famously often wrong. I don't really believe that fully in this Oregon team specifically, but I don't really see a way where James Madison advances to face North or Texas Tech. Excuse me.
Now, would I love for it to happen? Absolutely. It'd be incredible to watch and it'd be
Right,
really
yeah.
funny. But we got to be realistic here. 22-point favorites. Oregon's taking this one.
And honestly, shame on Bob Chesney for taking UCLA of all the open jobs, which is another factor that is just the reality of modern college football. Half the teams in the field either have a head coach that's leaving, a head coach that's left, or are missing at least one, if not both, of their coordinators. It's just a weird place in college football right now. And Jesse and I aren't going to get into the nitty gritty of why that is and like how it could be different because that would be the entire podcast. But
Yes.
just something to note, and I mostly just wanted to take a shot at UCLA of all the choices. Like why?
It's such a weird, and that program's completely in the mud right now. But like you said, different conversation, different day. Next one, we got your Alma here coming up with Alabama and Oklahoma, and I think you and I are going to be on the same page on this one. I'm taking Alabama in this one just simply because of experience, and I have. Oh, he's shaking his head.
We're
No.
not on the same page.
Oh no. You're all decked out. You
I
got
am.
hat and quarter zip on. Okay, okay, I'm interested to hear why. But I'm taking Alabama more than anything because I really just want to see the Alabama IU matchup.
I think Alabama is the better team. I do not think they will win. I
Hmm.
There's just something broken right now with the offense. I think a lot of it is due to three complicating factors, really. Number one, offensive line play has taken a step back from the Alabama that you are familiar with, right?
Yes.
You know, when you think Alabama, most people think dominating defense and dominating ground game, and that
Yep.
just simply is not this team's identity. The defense is really good. The defense
Yes.
can give them a that side of the ball is why they're in this playoff still,
Hmm.
even through all the ups and downs that the offense has faced. And there have been a lot of ups, there have been a lot of downs. So they don't have a great offensive line. There's no difference maker at running back, and even if there was one on the roster, he'd be wearing crutches because the entire room is depleted. AK Deer is going to be a great Alabama running back, I think, but he's a freshman that's not ready
Yeah.
yet and had to play in the SEC championship game because Jam Miller and a lot of the other running backs on this roster just are not in play shape. And then number three, I think Ty Simpson is still good. I think that he's struggling a bit with some of those aforementioned problems. When you put it all on the shoulders of the quarterback to make and ask him to be right every time, very few quarterbacks on this earth are going to do that. It's kind of similar to our conversation about Justin Herbert a couple weeks ago, where
Right.
I think that he's one of the best quarterbacks in football, but it's hard for him because he has to do everything. And I think that that's what's being asked of Ty right now, and he's just not that kind of guy. And he was so red hot to start the year that his confidence kind of grew, I think, a bit. And he's like, I can just fit this into any sort of window. I can make any throw. And now all of a sudden that's not happening. And I think he's pressing a little bit on some of these throws. Because some of these interceptions, I'm like, what in God's name did you see on this throw?
Yeah. Where
And I
where are
think
you looking?
I don't think it's because he can't see people. I think it's just based on the tape we have of him all year that he's trying to make plays because he knows his team desperately needs big plays downfield.
Hmm.
And that he knows that the consistency isn't going to work. Teams are just playing with two to three safeties on us and daring us to dink and dunk, and we're just not built to do that. Oklahoma has a really good defense. Their offense also kind of broken, but I think they have enough explosive potential that they will probably pull this out, even though I think that we in a vacuum are better.
And going back to what you were saying about Ty Simpson there, watching the SEC championship game, you could see him pressing more and more.
Mhm.
And by the time he was trying to play hero ball, the game was over, and that's a really tough position to put anybody in, let alone against Georgia's defense. So
Alabama
it's a
is a
tough
one.
one.
I do want to add on the road, Alabama's a 1.5 point favorite, which I think is interesting. And
That is
Oklahoma
interesting.
did beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, but there were a lot of fluky turnovers. I think
Hmm.
if you played that game again with the teams on that day, Alabama would win. On to this next weekend, I don't know.
Yeah. So that's our first one that we're missing on here. But this next one we got Ole Miss and Tulane. I'm
Also a
going with an
rematch, by the way. Two of these
oh
four games are
yes.
rematches.
Oh yes. I'm going with an absolute off the walls pick here. I'm actually taking Tulane in this one. Partially because Lane Kiffin exits, which again, I get in a sense why you would want to go for the LSU job, but at the same time, like your team's in the playoffs. Like your team is there. Your program that you've spent the last several years building is already there. Doesn't make any sense to me at all whatsoever, but he's going to do what he's going to do.
That's a
But for
whole
this one,
other
I'm
podcast.
yes, again, and we keep referencing it, and apparently this is just going to be how this podcast is. But I'm taking Tulane in this one just because I want a fun upset pick more than anything. I think they got momentum coming into this one, so I'm taking them.
I respect your pick a lot, and I tried to build myself a case for it, and I just think Ole Miss is better. Like I can't,
I think so
I
too.
the
Definitely more
absence
talented.
of Lane will matter, but I don't think it will matter against the Green Wave. I don't think it's going to be a blowout in the same way that I view Oregon and James Madison,
Right.
but I view this as Ole Miss kind of keeping Tulane somewhere between that like 10 to 14 points away, like at arm's length for the whole game. Never really feeling like they just are running away with it, but never quite giving it back up to Tulane. So I've got Ole Miss in this first game at least.
Right. And last one of round one is going to be Miami and Texas A&M for this one. I had a really hard time with this because there's times where I look at Carson Beck and I'm like, he's him. And there's times where I look at Carson Beck and I'm like, I'm not seeing any sort of NFL caliber player here. I'm not seeing any sort of consistency. So I just don't know. It really just depends on what Miami shows up that day. I'm taking Miami in this one. I don't feel great about it, but I went ahead and took the Hurricanes.
I think it's A&M. I don't really trust Miami. They played their best football at the beginning of the season, in my estimation, when they beat Notre Dame. And I don't know. I know they've put up some lopsided wins, but that's against ACC competition, which isn't real to me. And
It's not what it used to be for sure.
I don't know. It's hard because I also view A&M as pretty fraudulent, only because they've only played two teams above 500 all year.
Hmm.
The only SEC team they played that had a record of 500 or better was Texas, and Texas beat them. So I don't kind of handily in the second half. So I don't trust either squad, but I think I'm going to lean A&M because I trust Marcel Reed a little bit more than I trust Carson Beck. Not by a lot, but just a little bit. And his
Yeah,
dynamism, I think, can be a problem for Miami.
I think so too. For the quarterfinals we have coming up, I believe the first matchup we have is the same as Oregon and Texas Tech here. And Texas Tech, great year, obviously earned the bye with this one, but there's something about playing consistently this time of year, I think that does matter a lot more than what shows up on paper. And I think Oregon kind of getting a running start into the playoffs for me is going to give them a slight edge here. I do have an upset pick in this one, not a major upset by any means, but I've seen how Oregon plays, and I do think they have enough to get it done. So I'm taking Oregon to go to the semis.
I mentioned in my preview of Oregon James Madison that I don't really think that highly of Oregon. I don't think they're bad, but I don't see them as national championship caliber. And I actually think Texas Tech is pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think they're national championship caliber, but I think that they'll have what it takes to beat Oregon. Their defense is swarming. It's very effective. Their offense is kind of topsy-turvy. But I think Dante Moore is going to have a hard time with that Texas Tech defense and that pass rush. And so I'm going to go with the Red Raiders.
Yeah. So this next one is the Indiana matchup. I had Alabama in this one. You had Oklahoma. And this is going to be a massive homer pick for me, but also they're the ones that are favored. They're the number one overall seed. I graduated from Indiana. My degree says Indiana University on it. So I'm going with the Hoosiers in this one. Honestly, I think regardless of whoever wins that first matchup, I think their defense is actually their strong suit. I think their offense
Hmm.
gets a lot of credit for things that they don't
Things that they do
necessarily
not achieve.
deserve it. Right. And I mean, they got it done when it mattered most against Ohio State, but they shot themselves in the foot so many times in the Big Ten championship game where they could have continued pushing. And the offense is actually what concerns me the most about Indiana going into it. I think their defense does enough against either one of those teams to get the victory here and move on to the semis.
Yeah, I think Indiana is definitely better than last year, obviously.
Mm,
I don't view them as one of the two best teams in the field. I think the two best teams in the field are on the bottom half of the bracket.
I would
But
agree.
I think that they definitely have what it takes to beat either Alabama or Oklahoma. I think I want to. I mean, their defense is definitely the driver of their success for sure. And Fernando Mendoza is really good and has had a strong season. I do want to give a little bit of credit. I don't know that. I mean, there's a more complete, talented unit in football right now than the Ohio State defense. They're going to be
Correct.
one of those graphics, which used to be Alabama or Georgia in the past, but has also been Ohio State, where they're going to show this graphic on like an NFL or college football broadcast in 4 years, and it's going to be like the starting 11, and like nine of them are going to have been drafted. Just
Right.
nasty unit. And I use a little shaky to me, but they got a pretty favorable draw for me, at least from my perspective. I don't think there's a team on this half of the bracket that they should be super concerned about.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And honestly, I'll give you a little preview. That's why I have them going to the national title game in this, just simply because of that draw and getting to stay away from 2 and 3 on the other side.
Hmm.
Um, but truly, they do have a lot of talent at skill positions, and I think a lot of times it's they kind of get in their own way. I mean, their receiving core is incredible. They have Surratt, they got Cooper Jr., and Becker has come out of nowhere to kind of be that third guy. They've been absolutely incredible when they've needed to be. They just need to be more consistent. They got to take care of the ball, and they got to take care of Mendoza. He can't be taking those kind of hits like he took on the first play of the
First play
game.
of the game, yeah. Got
I
handpicked.
n nearly left my house when that happened. Nearly left my house. So we're both taking Indiana with that one. Next one is going to be Georgia. I had Tulane. You had Ole Miss. I think this one, honestly, regardless of who makes it, is going to be an absolute steamrolling, and I'm taking Georgia.
Yeah, I don't even think this Georgia team is anywhere near the caliber of past Georgia teams. I just think that they're playing a consistent brand of football that a lot of teams are not right now. I think
Mhm.
Gunnar Stockton has improved a lot over the year. I think that their defense is clicking right now. And honestly, I hate saying this about a team that I hate, but like Kirby's just got it right now. Like
He
he is
does.
pushing the right buttons. That I still think about that onside kick decision against Texas that basically it called game. I think that was just so ballsy and
It was
so
so cool.
cool. And I think that he just has his team playing as well as anybody right now, and I think they're capable of beating anybody. And I definitely think that they'll beat Ole Miss.
Yeah, and that's one thing you can say about this college football field is that the talent is definitely a lot more widespread than it used to be without having, one and two just being so dominant
Hmm.
that really any given day a lot of these teams could take a win if you get some weird turnovers, some different things happen. But like you said, just well coached, and
Yeah.
that's the reason why Indiana's at one. That's the reason why Ohio State is at two. And that's the reason why Georgia's at three is the coaching. They have
Hmm.
put their guys in the right
Oh,
spot to
shame for
win time
Texas
after
Tech.
time.
Jesse does not respect Texas Tech.
I don't respect the Big 12, I'll be honest with you.
Call Joey McGuire right now and offer him an apology.
If they make it to the semis, maybe I will. I'll do it on the pod.
$25
Last
million
matchup,
bought that team, Jesse. They could buy your
hey,
respect.
they could, but I can't be bribed for a small amount. I'll just say that. Last matchup, we got Ohio State taking on either A&M or Miami. You had A&M, I had Miami. Again, I think this is one of those. I don't know if it particularly matters. Ohio State's defense, like you mentioned, just absolute dogs on the other side of that ball. Uh, their pass rush is absolutely incredible. Their secondary, especially the two safeties up top,
Mhm.
um, just an incredible unit. I think they ride that as far as they absolutely can until they run into another dominant team, to be frank.
Yeah, I won't waste too much time. I've already questioned the legitimacy of A&M and Miami, and I've espoused high remarks for Ohio State. So I think it's pretty clear I'm going to go with Ohio State. I just think they're one of the most dominant teams in football. And, this is a bracket where I really don't. I've gone all chalk for my semi or quarterfinal picks here. I really don't know what's going to happen. I
No.
think that there could be some wonkiness because I think that the line between the top and the bottom is thinner than it has been in years past. But I do think that Ohio State, kind of like Indiana, got a pretty favorable draw up until the semis.
I think so. All right, so we'll recap the final four teams. I've kind of lost track of who your final four are, but
It's the top four
mine
seeds.
are
Pretty easy.
Is it really the top four?
It is the top four, yeah. I'm a coward.
I love it. So mine's Indiana, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State. So I mean, I had what, one, five,
You have
two,
one,
and
two,
three.
three,
So
and five, and I have one, two, three, and four.
man, why are we? Who's watching this? We're-
This is what it's gonna look like though for like all the
It's true. It's
on
true.
across ESPN for a week.
It's it's true. So for the first semifinals matchup, Indiana, Oregon, a rematch of what I thought was a really good and interesting game. I think the score the first time around during the regular season didn't tell the full story. It was a very close matchup all the way through. But for this one, I'm taking Indiana. If they beat them in Oregon, I think they beat them on a neutral field as well. And that again, the defense is just more cohesive than it was back then, and I think they have enough to get it done.
I am regretfully also taking Indiana over Texas Tech, though I will caveat I think Oregon would win a match or rematch. I don't really have like a schematic
Interesting.
reason for that. I just think that their
Just angry.
explosiveness makes them really unpredictable. And I think that it's really hard to beat a team twice, as we just saw in the SEC championship game. Alabama beat Georgia
Yeah.
on the road, and then it was a completely different ball game in the SEC championship. I think good coaches find those edges and rematches. But in my bracket, it's Indiana, Texas Tech, so I guess IU to the national championship game.
I know that pains you to say. I
It
can hear it
does
in your voice.
tremendously because I think they can win it all this year. I don't think they will, but I think they can.
They definitely can. Second one is going to be, I believe we both had Georgia and Ohio States. This one
Yep.
I wrestled with for a while,
The real national
and
championship to me right there.
this is a tough one. This is a really, really tough one. And I went back to how the teams performed in a conference championship because that's the last time I saw either one of them. This could easily change over the course of the next couple weeks, depending on how they play in the quarterfinals, depending on what we see. But for this one, I went ahead and took Georgia. And I think this is going to be the game of the playoffs. I really do. I
Hmm.
think this is going to be the one that we kind of turn back and we circle and we say, like you said, this was the real national championship game.
also really struggled with this game because I think these are the two best teams in the country right now. No disrespect to IU, truthfully. I mean, I often disrespect IU, but I don't mean that in this instance. I just think these are the two most talented
Hmm.
teams. They're playing some of the best ball. Obviously, IU beat Ohio State, but by three, so it's to
Yeah.
me that's pretty head to head. I took Georgia because I fell back on the tiebreaker of coaching, and I feel
Hmm.
like I we just talked about Kirby is on a heater. He's proven himself at this stage. I know Ohio State literally just won a national championship, but those were pretty non-competitive games for the most part,
Hell
and
yeah.
they really just kind of rolled their way to the title. And I feel like Kirby has been a plus in games more than Ryan Day has, and that was the difference for me because I really couldn't separate. I think both defenses are elite. I think both young quarterbacks have played well. I think they have some special weapons on both sides. Jeremiah Smith is the best player on the field for either offense, but I'm gonna go with Georgia.
And you're just spitting straight facts. I could not agree with anything that you said more. Which brings us to the finals, and I think we're both taking Georgia for this one. As much as that hurts
Yeah,
me
I
to
don't
say,
want to, but this is my like
yeah,
my nightmare scenario is Georgia
Georgia
IU
is
for the national
IU.
championship.
As much as it pains me as an IU fan and alum, I know the limitations, but do I think they have a chance to win this game? Absolutely. I think they have a
For
chance in
sure.
any game that they play in against any team in the country. But just going based off of historics and going based off of, Kirby's been there. Kirby's been there many times. No knock to Signetti at all. He is absolutely him, and I'm glad that he's at the helm right now for Indiana. But it's just really hard for me in my mind to grapple not taking Georgia here. It's just if they make it to the championship game and are not playing another SEC team, that's where I have struggle with it. Do I want IU to win this? Absolutely. I'm not even going to be ashamed to say it. But in this instance, I don't really feel safe picking them over an SEC team.
Yeah, to me, Georgia has played one pretty bad half of football against Alabama in the game they lost, and they've looked shaky at other times. They barely escaped Florida, they barely escaped Ole Miss. They had to rally to do that, but they barely beat Georgia Tech. They're not this massive juggernaut, but they just find
Right.
ways to win, and I think they've been so has IU has to their credit has dug out some games. Iowa comes to mind, Penn
And Penn
State,
State for sure.
obviously
Yeah.
the game they just played. I think I lean Georgia because I think that they're a better team, and IU is a great story that I can't enjoy because it's a school I don't enjoy. But I'm gonna defer to the team that's been there and has shown me that they can achieve it.
All right. Well, that's the college football playoffs. Before we move on to some NFL talk, I do want to put you on the spot here, and we'll
Oh,
just talk Heisman. We'll just talk the Heisman here.
I
I'm
don't want to
very
do. Do I have to
interested.
do this? I just put IU in the national championship. Are you really gonna make me do this?
I am. I'm interested to see what you have to say because there's definitely some
I got
arguments to
stuff
be
to say.
made. There's
Uh,
there's some arguments to be made.
I think that the Heisman Trophy, as it often is brought up by many talking heads, is a little bit flawed, kind of like the most valuable player in the NFL,
Mhm.
where it usually ends up being the best player on the best team. And I
Right.
do think Fernando Mendoza who is going to win the Heisman. I don't think that's really probably a shock to people, but I
Yeah.
definitely think that he's going to win this Heisman. He's the star quarterback, has had a strong year for the number one team in the country, and has the angle of IU has been nothing but suck for 150 years. And
Right. It's a feel good thing, and people love
yeah,
those stories.
he has the narrative, which super matters. We all remember Manti Te'o, the
Oh,
narrative
yeah.
can make or break a Heisman.
It really can.
I think Jeremiah Love is the best player in the country. And I know that there's a little bit of bias in there, probably. But if you just watch him play, the things that he does routinely on the football field, plays where it looks like he's going to be tackled 4 yards behind the line and he just makes 50 yards out of it, breaks 8 tackles on his way to a 60-yard touchdown. His numbers are not good enough, but that's because he has another NFL running back in his backfield
Right.
leaking touches from him. I think if Jeremiah Love played for like prime Alabama, where or was used like prime Derrick Henry was, he would have comparable numbers. He's so special to me, and I think he's the most outstanding player in the country. But it's going to go to Mendoza because and again, he's had a great season. Like I don't
Hmm.
feel like this is like a make-a-wish Heisman, but
Right.
I feel like if you're looking at the quarterbacks that are going to be there, I'm not sure with the separation is tough for me to be like this quarterback is better than this quarterback is better than this quarterback because like Pavia's had a lot of monster games, but he's
Padia's had a
also turned
great
the
year.
ball over like a
Yeah,
machine, which I
right.
think will disqualify him. Sayan, I feel like I don't know how I feel about Julian Sayan yet. He's good, but he also has two NFL first round wide receivers and a lot of talent on that team. So it's tough for me to say. And not to say that these other guys don't have help, but I think Jeremiah Love's the most outstanding player, but I think Mendoza is going to win it first. It probably comfortably.
Man, you just took the wind right out of my sail because I was actually going to say the same thing. And
You're
it's
gonna be
hard because Mendoza is going to win. He's going to win. And I think he's a fine Heisman, and I'm
what are
very
the
happy for
odds?
him. I absolutely love Fernando. But if this was 20 years ago, like prime Reggie Bush era, I think this would be a very different story because we used to view running backs, especially in college football, in a very different light. And I think he would have been playing in a different system back then as well. But no, Jeremiah Love is going to be an incredible NFL running back. And people really, I know he's a Heisman finalist, and it feels weird to say this, but I don't think people talk about him enough. He's absolutely electric.
Oh,
And this just goes back to I have a really big soft spot for running backs. I really do. And I think without a solid running game, no football team in the world is going to accomplish anything. And the fact that the NFL has kind of gone away from running backs being those guys is upsetting because, I mean, growing up, we used to watch some titans absolutely play running back. We had
mhm.
Priest Holmes breaking touchdown records, Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson. We had some absolute guys playing running back, and I feel like that kind of carried our generation growing up when we also had, the top echelon of quarterback play. But the thing is, guys were winning MVPs as running backs in that era. And I think we've gone away from that. And this is a whole tangent spiel of mine that I'm going on here, but
The From the
just
Vault
suffice to
podcasts are
say,
going to go crazy when we do get
oh
around
yeah.
to this.
Oh yeah, but suffice to say, Jeremiah Love does need more, frankly, love. I think nationally for the stuff that he has accomplished at Notre Dame.
Yeah, so I looked up the Heisman odds because I was curious. What do you think Mendoza's are right now?
I can't even imagine right
Minus
now.
1,000.
Wow,
Which, for those of you at
wow.
home who don't bet, that means you have to bet $1,000 to win $100. So
Wow.
you would cash out 1,100. So it's not worth it to bet on somebody with those odds because
Yeah.
you're not making any money.
So they
The odds
basically handed it
actually,
to him.
the order of the odds was about how I thought. So he's minus 1,000. Diego Pavia is plus 600. Jeremiah Love is plus 25,000, which is crazy. And then Sayin is plus 40,000. Because I was gonna say I would have I would expect Mendoza, Pavia, Love, Sayin in that order, and that's what Vegas seems to think. So
Yep,
it's
I would
probably
probably
what
agree with
we're
that.
barreling towards.
All right, let's go from college to the pros now. We got some week 15 action. Fantasy playoffs are starting. A lot of cool things happening. And we got about 10 minutes before our first Zoom mandated break here.
True.
So
Wow,
we'll break
Jesse,
in.
look at you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm on it right now.
New bells and whistles.
So we got some NFL games. We actually have one going on as we're recording this podcast right now. Have not checked the score, and I will hold that in just honor system here. But first one we got is Bucks and Falcons, and the Bucks are spiraling, and it just goes back. I know we've talked about it a million times about the injuries with this team. But the Falcons also are in major timeout for me forever, I think, from here on out. I don't know if I'll ever pick them on this podcast
They're
again.
on the no-fly list for sure.
They really are. So I'm taking the Bucks here. I don't feel great about it, and they really need to pick it up here because Carolina is on their behind.
Yeah, when you have a team that's doing well and then they kind of scuffle, or a team that you think highly of and they have a little bit of a slump or a losing streak, you always talk about the get right game. This is the definition of the get right game for the Buccaneers.
You have
Still,
to win this.
still think they're going to be too banged up in the end to make a ton of noise in the postseason, but yeah, I just don't see a path for Atlanta. I don't even want to talk about Atlanta. I'm with you. Like they're just so bad, and until they fire everybody in the building, then I don't want to talk about them.
They got to start over. They've mishandled everything. All right, so this next one on the 1 p.m. slate, really intriguing matchup over in the AFC East, Bills and Patriots. Now, this is the interesting part. This game is in New England. The Bills are 1.5 point favorites in this one on a road game, despite being 2 games behind New England. So, digging into this, I'm really trying to figure out as to why, what the Patriots have done to not have the line in their favor. But for this one, I really like what I've seen from Josh Allen the last few weeks. I know I've talked about him a lot. I've probably talked more highly of the Buffalo Bills than I have my own team in the Indianapolis Colts throughout this podcast. I am taking the Bills in a narrow one, but I do think he is going to be able to break through that New England defense.
Yeah, I think the reason for the line, Jesse, is New England has. I think New England is very good. Don't get me wrong. I think they deserve. They've earned their wins. I think that they kind of got fat off some lower caliber teams. They
Mhm.
did beat Buffalo in Buffalo, which does matter. But I think that it's hard for odds makers to shake the perception of Buffalo as a Super Bowl contender
Right.
and to see the number of points that they're scoring and not be like, oh yeah, they can take New England. But Drake May, actually, I believe, I haven't looked recently, but I think a couple days ago he was the betting favorite for MVP, which is just a wild
Wow.
timeline. And I did take Buffalo. Their defense is indefensible, no pun intended. But I don't know. I think I see why the odds makers went this way because I don't really have a reason for it. I just feel like Buffalo will get this win. Even if I think that they're not the team that I thought they would be, I think that they are playing with a sense of urgency, at least offensively. Defensively, they couldn't give a shit, but offensively, they
Right.
seem to care. And even though they still, you know, kind of like the Chiefs have had another year where it's like, man, we should probably get a real receiver, huh? They're still
Cool.
stringing points together, and Josh is playing out of his gourd right now. So
He is absolutely carrying that entire
if
city.
he keeps it up, he could backdoor his way into back to back. I just want to throw that
Absolutely,
out there.
especially if they end up overtaking them, they win this game, they go on a little run the last few weeks and end up taking that division. Obviously not likely, given that there's a 2 game gap, but if he does, I think you have to consider. I think he
Yeah,
absolutely has to be in the running.
he'll be at the podium at least.
Next one we got is Bengals Ravens.
Hmm.
This is a weird one because the Ravens looked like they were going to be unstoppable and just rise like a phoenix into the playoffs after that 1-5 start. And then they hit a speed bump. And now the Bengals have played everybody hard since Burrow comes back. Obviously, Joe Burrow changes everything. But then we got existential crisis Joe Burrow this
It
week.
was really
And
sad. It's like my guy.
I
It's
had
okay.
flashbacks to poor Andrew Luck. And
What was
I get it. I completely get it. That being said, Burrow has a way of just kind of keeping his calm when he's playing on the football field. And if he really is trying to find the fun and figure out if he still enjoys football, I think he figures it out this weekend. And I think they actually do come up with an upset win. I do, because the offense has played so well, other than that just completely unforgivable interception at the end of last game from Burrow. But I, for some reason, have it in my mind that this is the one that's the final nail in the coffin for the Ravens season.
So you talked about how they looked like they were unstoppable, going to roll their way to the playoffs. I actually thought they looked extremely vulnerable in their winning streak, and hadn't really. They just had strung some wins together, but hadn't really proven to me that they were who we thought they were. And I think that we saw this game 2 weeks ago on Thanksgiving. I don't think it's going to be quite as ugly for Baltimore, but I also think Cincinnati, even though they couldn't stop the common cold, I think that. Speaking of, I'm about to sneeze. Bless me,
Bless
I'm
you.
not editing that out. That's too much work.
Yep.
Um, I do think that Cincinnati finds a way to get this done. By the way, did you see Jamar Chase asked about Joe Burrow's comments?
No, I didn't.
So he said that he thought it was AI and then was like, did that really happen? Like, that's real? And because he went on to say, like, he comes to work, like, ready to play, like, there's no negativity. Like, he's basically just being like, he's not like moping or whatever and like having his guys
Right.
back. But it is pretty funny. He was like, had to be
Wait, what?
told, like, he actually said those things, Big Dog. Maybe check in on him.
Maybe, yeah, give them a phone call, maybe come over with a pizza
Stop by with a
and
box of wine and a box of pizza and maybe just talk it out.
yeah, play some video games and just figure out what's going on, right? Check in on your friends. And also, just in general, check in on your friends as always. This is a very pro mental health awareness podcast. Make sure you're always checking in with your people. Moving
Yeah.
on, we got the Jags and the Jets. Jets all-time low right now. I don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for them this Sunday, but Jaguars looking good. I know they just destroyed a very depleted Colts team, but I don't see them having any issues with the Jets in this one. Pretty easy pick for me. I'm going Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm kind of into this weird place with the Jags where I think that they're actually good, but they haven't played anybody to prove it.
Hmm.
I mean, they beat the Chiefs, but that doesn't really matter because everybody does. So I'm going with Jacksonville, obviously, in this game, but I'm interested. I'm mark me as like lukewarm interested in what the Jaguars can do in the postseason. They'll host at least one playoff game, probably just the one, but I don't know. It's a pretty wide open AFC, and I'm tepidly interested in the Jaguars.
Yeah, me too. For this next one, we got Chargers and Chiefs. This one's at Arrowhead. The Chiefs are 5.5 point favorites, and quite honestly, I'm not really sure what they've done to deserve that kind of line going into this. I know Herbert's a little banged up right now with the hand. He's questionable. I can't see that he wouldn't play. And I know the Chargers have been up and down, but the Chiefs have given us absolutely nothing. And I am so low on the Chiefs right now, and I think the vibes are all time bad for them as well. And I think the dynasty is over. But that being said, I don't think they're 6 point favorites against a team that is probably going to make the playoffs. So that one was really interesting to me. I do this every single time we have picks. I almost say San Diego. I'm taking the Chargers, and they're in San Diego. I don't care. I
Over in
refuse to
Qualcomm
believe it.
Stadium, right?
Yep, they're over at Qualcomm, and honestly, they never left. But I'm taking the Chargers in this one, especially if Herbert's healthy and playing. I don't see a reason why the Chiefs are getting this kind of money line still.
I have a minute and a half before I'm cut off by Zoom, so I'll make my case quickly. I am not still clinging to the path I laid out where the Chiefs make the playoffs because that hinged on them beating the Texans, which
Yep.
they did not do. I definitely think they win this game. I don't think they're bad. I
Oh,
think they've lost too many close games to make the playoffs, but they're not like a destitute franchise. And the Chargers have no offensive line, and now you're telling me the only player that's keeping them alive is injured with his hands, the part that he needs to throw the football. Chiefs, this screams to me like Kansas City wins, and the talk cycle for a whole week is can they actually make it? And then like the reality of their situation catches up, and they're not going to qualify for the postseason. But give me the Chiefs in this one. I think the line is a little high. I would definitely make them favorites at home, but we'll go with the Chiefs in this one. And we'll be back after this quick break. And we're back from our little break, refreshed. Surely someday we'll have sponsors in that segment, but until then,
or just a friend that will pay for a Zoom subscription for a year.
honestly, we're the best podcast to listen to because our ad breaks don't exist. We just kind of like do this whole like cross dissolve on Premiere Pro that makes you feel like something's changed, but it's really just we restarted the Zoom. Anyway, we're gonna keep going on our week 15 picks here. We've got Houston at home facing an Arizona Cardinal team that could desperately use a win. Jesse, do they get it this week?
No. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. The way that you were talking about the Jaguars and how you got that interest in the Jaguars and kind of seeing what they're doing, that's how I feel about Houston right now, truly. Their defense is just too good. It's just too good. You know, when you lock down number 15 in Kansas City, that's pretty big deal. I know he has no one to throw to right now in the ghost of Travis Kelsey, but currently he that defense is just it's too strong. It's too strong for me. And I think Stroud's starting to put some things together. He's starting to be a little more consistent. He has a saloon door as his offensive line, but he's starting to make better decisions and I think he's starting to get used to being under duress. I don't love that for him, but I really do like what the Texans have pulled together lately.
Yeah, I am definitely interested in the Texans. I think they're like kind of like the Broncos, but the rich man's Broncos, where their defense is even better, but their offense is even worse.
Yep.
And man, that defense does not win championships anymore in this day and age. but it could
but
it
that
could
one might
take you some places. That one might. It's really good. Will Anderson is a bad man, and he is
he's
just one of
terrifying.
half a dozen studs on that unit. And they're just playing ball defensively better than anybody. I think they're the best unit in the league right now. Offense, defense, special teams, whatever.
I'd agree.
So I'm definitely taking Houston, and I think Arizona is more a team to circle for potential coaching change after the
Yes.
season than it is to a team that's going to turn it around. I don't know. I don't want to spend a ton of time here, Jesse, because we have a lot to talk about still, but is Arizona an attractive job? You're gonna have to move on from the quarterback probably, unless a new staff is like Kyler is him. But I feel like you've committed to moving on from Kyler pretty much at this point, which is
If
gonna
you're
be an expensive move, and you have no plan
oh yeah.
at quarterback and some good players, but not really the skeleton of a great team.
I would say yes. And here's why. If I'm a first time head coach, I actually think it's a really interesting place to go because their defense at times hasn't looked completely inept. I think they have some decent pieces, like you
Hmm.
said. Moving Kyler off and getting a quarterback from this upcoming draft, I think is going to be a big piece of that. They're a 3-win team. They continue losing throughout the rest of this. They're going to probably have a top five pick. And when you have a top five pick in this draft, I think there's some good talent coming out of the collegiate realm this time around that honestly, yeah, I think it would be an interesting place to go.
See, I don't really feel like this is a two quarterback draft all that much. I don't know. It depends on where Ty ends up to me. And I guess if Dante Moore comes out, people like him. I don't see a superstar quarterback in this draft, and so for that reason, I would almost be like, can you like go hat in hand to Kyler and see if you can string one more year out financially? But yeah, okay. So I was just interested in your thoughts on that
Yeah.
one. I'm also taking Houston.
Next one, we got Bears and Browns. Bears played really well against the Packers, just didn't quite have enough juice there at the end, and Caleb threw just a boneheaded pass to end that game. And I get it, there was a lot of stuff going on there, but he's got to make a different read there. And I think he knows that. He's young, he'll figure it out. Talented arm, talented quarterback. I'm not gonna harp on him too much for that. But I think they get it back against the Browns. I do think that Miles Garrett gets a few sacks in this one because that offensive line is still not great in
He just
Chicago.
needs two for to tie the record.
Yeah, and I mean, that record is his. That record is in the bag right now. And I'm very excited because I'm a big Miles Garrett guy. I think he's a good dude, regardless of helmet incidents from previous
I think that's
instances.
Mason Rudolph's fault. I've always thought
I
that.
would agree with
I
that.
believe
Different
Miles Garrett more than
conversation.
I believe Mason Rudolph.
I agree with that 100%. But for this one, I'm taking the Bears just simply because of talent alone. I think the Bears had a really good season. Do I think they've outperformed their record for the most part? Yes. But at the same time, I do think they're well coached and I think they're continuing to kind of be more of a cohesive team.
I really struggled with this one because I think Cleveland is actually playing decently well, and I'm
Yeah.
not ready to say Shadur Sanders is an NFL quarterback, like a guy you want to build around, but he's been better than I would have expected. I'm going to give him that
He's
credit.
been better than anyone else they've thrown in there.
Yeah, which bar is low, but I think he's done some interesting stuff. He still makes plenty of bonehead moves, and I think I would be more interested in his games 6 through 10 than I am 1 through 5 when people have
Yeah.
some tape on him and they know how to heat him up and what he likes and doesn't like, which we're not going to get there this year. So I guess we'll see in Cleveland. And I'm not super all in on the Bears like we've talked about, but I think they have enough. Cleveland just their running backs are good, and they have a couple skill players that are good, and they have Miles Garrett, but Cleveland is horrific away from home. And that kind of
Yes.
made the decision for me. Which side note about Miles Garrett, I was talking to somebody recently about actually I think I've had this conversation a couple times where I was like, yeah, Miles Garrett has an easy DPOY. Like it's not even worth discussing. Like, why are we talking about
Yeah.
this? And the other person in both of these instances has been like, "Are you sure?" Because like they have a losing record, and I'm like, "Yeah." You know how little time they spend in like advantageous pass rush situations, and you
Yeah.
know how many sacks he has. If he has like
Yeah.
25 sacks, even if he didn't get a sack for the rest of the year, that dude has 20 and a half sacks.
Yeah.
He's gonna win.
Yeah, he literally has had the greatest pass rushing season of all time, and he hasn't had anybody else to kind of take any pressure off him.
It's
He's going through
disgusting
double
what he's
teams.
doing.
It absolute video game freak of nature stuff that he is doing right now. And again, like when Strahan did it, he was doing it on a pretty decent Giants team,
Got a
which
lot of
had,
cleanup sacks too.
yes, he had a lot of cleanup sacks, but Miles is doing this on his own. Like he he is willing himself to this amount of sacks.
Yeah.
Absolutely filthy stuff. Next one on the slate, we got Giants and Commanders. Commanders just a mess right now, and it really, honestly, probably my most disappointing team this year, coming out of last year. I know they didn't do a lot to help out their defense, and they kind of tried to run it back, which was never going to be like a Super Bowl contender. But to be this bad, I think has been a bit surprising. I know James been banged up a lot, and he should not play the rest of the year, but it is it's just awful to watch. I think Jackson Dart is healthy again for now. We'll see how long that lasts, but I think Dart does enough to get a win here. I don't feel great about this game. I don't think anyone's going to be watching.
It's the
I mean,
sad
even
bowl.
it's the sad bowl. It really is. I don't even think that the starting quarterback's grandmothers are going to be watching this. They might DVR it and watch it later. I mean, this is a bad game.
You think Grandma Dart has all 22 access?
I
She's
would
just gonna
imagine,
watch
yeah.
the game film from later. I took New York. I think that we are on Dan Quinn watch in Washington for sure. I'm
Yes.
interested to see if he keeps his job because it's been so bad. I think that they extremely overachieved last year. I don't think anybody really would argue that. And I think that this was a pretty predictable outcome for their season. Maybe not quite as bad. They haven't won a game since like October 4th. They're on
Oof.
the longest losing streak in the NFL, which is crazy. And all time bad there because I don't really know what the solution is because almost all of your key players are old. And like,
Yeah.
how many building blocks do you really have in Washington? That's a good offseason. Like, we'll do, I'm sure, some offseason NFL talk. I would love to dive into Washington because I'm not really sure how you could fix that going forward. But I don't love the Giants, but they've shown me enough feist and also just are going to have their starting quarterback probably. And that's even if Jaden plays, he's not really playing. Like, he's just
No.
his body is out there, but it's not the same.
Everything else is into next year already.
Yeah.
For this next one, we got Eagles and Raiders. Vegas sucks. I'm not going to spend any more time talking about this. It's the Eagles.
I wanted to I wanted to pick against the Eagles so bad because they're just all time broken. And I also for those of you that did not watch the Monsters Inc. broadcast of Eagles Chargers, you missed out because it was
That was such a good.
transcendent watching such a stupid, ugly game in like a stupid, ugly format. It
Wazowski breaks
literally
through.
it just looks bad. I feel like the Toy Story game looked a lot better than the
Oh
Monsters
yeah.
Inc. one. And then they would just like randomly insert Sully or Mike Wazowski in on plays. Like one play, it was so funny. They had Sully lined up in the slot for the Chargers, whichever receiver that was, and then they put Mike Wazowski covering him. And I'm like, I'm throwing him a 50-50 jump ball every time. And they did actually throw to that receiver, but the DB
Oh.
broke it up and the broadcast couldn't really like wrap its technology around how do we show Mike Wazowski climbing the ladder to break this up. So it just kind of like blipped. And but watching the Jalen double turnover play of Mike Monsters Inc. was transcendent. All that to say, the Raiders are a DOA, so unfortunately, I have to pick the Eagles. But fraud watch
All
for sure.
right. This next one we got Packers Broncos. Packers are 3-point favorites going into this one. Um, the Broncos continue to confuse me where they will look completely lost, utterly lost offensively, especially, and then all of a sudden pull out a miracle win at the end of this one. Um, I'm taking the Packers just simply because I think they're starting to heat back up, and I think their offense is definitely humming right now. The defense looks as good as ever. So for this one, I'm taking the Packers.
Yeah, I don't want to remind twist the knife, Jesse, but I believe our Super Bowl predictions at the beginning of the season where you took the Ravens and the Packers, and I took the Packers and the Bills.
Yeah.
So we kind of both need the Packers to win this because I'm not sold on either of our AFC picks.
They're gonna kick us off the air.
I also took the Packers. I think that Denver's been getting by on a lot of witchy witchy woo woo type. We're just gonna pull this out and somehow get this win. The offense needs help, and Micah Parsons is coming. I think it's close. I mean, Denver is really good. I unbiasedly, I think they're a very good team,
They
but
are.
I think the Packers. I don't think they're gonna just rip off like They're at 10 right now, so they would. I don't think they're going into the postseason with a 14 game win streak, so I think they lose
Be
that
insane if
here.
they would though.
Tough
It's been
schedule
a minute.
to end the
Wa-
season.
Was their last loss the Colts game?
Yes,
Wow, my
they were one
goodness,
and two, and then they haven't
that's
lost since.
insane. That is insane.
I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Speaking of which, next game we got the Colts and Seahawks. We have plenty more to talk about the Colts later, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here talking about this. No Sauce, no Mooney Ward. I think JSN goes off for 326 yards and 4 touchdowns against this Colts secondary. This is going to be an ugly game. I don't care who's playing quarterback. I don't care whose 6th round pick, whose grandpa's playing. This is going to be one of the ugliest games in Colts history, and I cannot wait for it, frankly. I'm actually somewhat excited to watch this.
A couple quick notes. Sorry, I looked up. I was incorrect. It was the Chargers. The Colts were the Broncos' first loss. That was week two.
Gotcha.
Then they lost 23-20 to the Chargers, fall to 1 and 2, and they haven't lost since. How many
That was it.
games in this 10-game win streak do you think Bo Nix threw for less than 200 yards?
Out of the 10, I'd say 7.
That's crazy. That's so disrespectful. It's only three, Jesse. Damn. Seven. That's insane, bro. That's crazy. You're on timeout. So the Bronx,
Are you
I
going
mean,
to mute me like around the horn?
seven is absurd. So they won all these games, Jesse. Like, I know he hasn't been elite, but give the man some credit. That's like when you put the punter. You're like, oh yeah, they put the punter in at quarterback, and just like in Madden when you could do that, and they would be like 12 overall, and you're just like, let's just build the
I
offense up,
didn't realize
run
how
fast.
mad disrespectful that was until you
That's
pointed it
absurd. You're on timeout. Yeah, we'll talk more about the Colts, but not having your quarterback or like any of your defensive starters, kind of tough. It's so aggressively Indianapolis, and also like we're both on the record about how much we like Seattle. So I think this one was pretty. I have a weighted picks pool where you assign point values 16 through 1, and you get those
Yeah.
points when you get it right. And I scrambled to the podium to turn in my 16 card on Seattle.
Hey, I have a JSN in our league for fantasy football playoffs going up against my little sister Alyssa, and I am so excited to see what happens in this
Gonna
one.
eat. Yeah, they're
Yes.
starting they're starting a high school math teacher at quarterback. So
Next one we got 49ers Titans. Again, just like Vegas, Titans suck. I'm taking the 49ers.
yeah, Titans are. I'm a big Cam Ward guy still. I think he's good. Titans just have nothing around him.
Did you see
Titans
that stiff
Browns.
arm that he had?
Did I see what?
The stiff arm that Cam Ward had? I think it
You
was
mean when
last
he
week.
ended the right, like reaped that man's soul and then continued to play?
That was
Honestly,
the
because
greatest thing I've
didn't
ever
he
seen.
threw it out of bounds, right? Like he just
He
hit
did,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the most disrespectful thing to me. Because if you're gonna get sunned like that, at least hope that the quarterback completes the pass. And he did all that just
Right.
to like be like, you know what? I don't even need this. Like I'm just gonna throw the ball away. Browns Titans actually kind of a fun game last week. It
Yeah.
had the potential to be all time bad, but was entertaining. Yeah, I'm not picking the Titans. San Francisco is kind of one of those like you have a very fake record, kind of like the Bears, but you can only play the teams that are on your schedule. So
Yeah, and you can only be who you are when it comes to win-loss.
yeah, when they make the playoffs and one of these AFC teams doesn't, it's gonna be really funny.
It's going to be so funny. Next one is Panthers and Saints. Panthers all of a sudden knocking on the door of this division, and the Buccaneers, all they had to do was show up to class and, just do the bare minimum. And apparently that was too much to ask for them. But 7-6 Panthers are 3-point favorites against the Saints. Saints are frisky and fun. We've talked about it all year. They just can't seem to buy a win or buy a vowel. And for this one, I'm taking Carolina. I think the momentum takes them forward, and I think they actually have something to play for, which is kind of unthinkable going into the year.
So the last time that they played Atlanta, I mean, I'm sorry, New Orleans. Excuse me, getting all the mid NFC South teams confused. The last time they played the Saints, I read a stat on this podcast that they had lost their last 11 games as outright favorites, and then they lost to the Saints. And the Panthers are the most mystifying team. They got bullied in prime time by the 49ers and then played like a damn good game and beat the Rams the next week. Then they were off last week, obviously. I feel like they're due for another mystifying loss. Here are their losses, by the way. They're mostly good teams. Jacksonville, but then Arizona, Atlanta, but then New England, where they got wiped from the face of the earth the week after they beat
That
the
was
Falcons
awful.
30 to nothing. And then they lost to Buffalo 40 to 9. Then they
Oh,
beat the Packers the next week by 3. Then they lose to the Saints. Then they take overtime to beat the Falcons, get sunned by the Niners, and then inexplicably beat the Rams. So if my math tracks, they're due for a devastating loss once again to the New Orleans Saints before bouncing back the following week. So I think New Orleans is I don't think that they're a better team, but I'm taking the Saints in the Superdome.
okay. Next one, we got Lions and Rams, and I really wrestled with this one because the Rams, they've looked dominant in stretches, and then there's been times where you're like, how do you lose to Carolina, right? Like, how does this happen? I think in this one, I'm taking the Lions simply because the Lions have to have this game. If the Lions do not win this game, I think it's starting to become over for
I
them,
think they're
which,
pretty much done if they don't win this game.
yeah, they have to have this game. And I think they're going to play like that. And I think they do enough to get the win. It's going to be close. I know DeMonte is questionable, hamstring injury. We'll see if he plays. Regardless, Matthew Stafford could throw to a rolling trash can and have it be effective. But
Sure.
for this one, I think the Lions just have more to play for. Despite being 6 point underdogs in this one, I'm taking Detroit.
Detroit definitely has more to play for. They are currently the eighth seed in the NFC. It's probably going to come down to, I mean, it's going to come down to one of Detroit, Chicago, or San Francisco is left out.
Mhm.
Those are 6, 7, 8 right now. I did take the Rams because I honestly I know I just like kind of dunked on the Panthers for being weird, but they did play well against the
They played
Rams. They
very
were
well.
opportunistic. They there was some fluky turnover luck for the Rams, but they still only lost that game by 3 points when they turned it over a million times, including like a pick six, if I'm remembering correctly. Detroit is good. I'm not picking against them because I think that they're bad, but I think the Rams are the most complete team in football, and I'm not going to let one weird all great teams have one inexplicable
They
loss
got one
hit
ridiculous
them.
loss. Yep.
And so I'm gonna say that that's the Rams' inexplicable loss, and I'm gonna just ride with Sean McVay and his boys.
Okay, Sunday night slate. We got Cowboys and Vikings. The Cowboys are
Gross.
on. It's
Disgusting that
it's
they're
a
putting this on TV.
nasty Sunday night game. It should come with a viewer discretion warning. But for this one, I'm not a believer in nine at all.
I don't think nine is a believer in nine.
The memes that have come out of this have been absolute gold,
I
by the
feel
way.
bad for him because he is just like a literal kid,
He is.
basically. I mean, I know he's not under 21, but he looks under 21 and he's like 22
Yes.
years old, maybe soaking wet. And
And
but
it's
it's just
rough.
tough, man.
It's been rough. I'm taking the Cowboys here for this one. I think the offenses, they still technically have something to play for. I don't think they're making the playoffs by any means, but they still have a pulse technically. So for that, I'm taking the Cowboys. I think Dak gets it done.
Yeah, Dallas has like a path to the postseason, but it involves some really silly stuff. Technically, the Vikings also alive for the playoffs. Gotta imagine that's even sillier path that has to happen. I'm gonna roll with the Cowboys mostly because I think that they're just barreling towards that timeline where they can't be 8-9 because they tied, but they're barreling towards like an 8-1 season where they don't really they're very clearly a step below the top teams in the league, but they're also too good to get a difference maker in the draft.
Hmm.
Even well, although they have extra picks, so I guess they'll. But not that those are gonna be difference making anyway. They could move up. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Dallas. I do not I do not know what to make of the Vikings. At their best, they're still clearly capable. I mean, they just put a beat down on the Commanders, who are bad. But I think I read somewhere that they're, if not the first, one of the first or only teams to shut out a team or get shut out one week and then shut out a team the next week
That's incredible.
with the score margins that I mean, they lost 26-0 to Seattle and then won 31 to nothing. against the Commanders, which
Absolute insane turnaround.
there's a special place in the topsy-turvy Hall of Fame for this year's Vikings and this year's Panthers.
Or really, honestly, the Vikings of the last 5 years because they had all those like single possession wins the one year. It got
Hmm.
weird. Got
Yeah.
weird for them.
Weird,
All
weird
right, and
franchise.
our last one is the Monday night slate. Another just crappy primetime game this week. If
Yeah.
you're a fan of primetime football, this is not your week. Just stay home.
Disgusting. I'm sorry. We have Bucks, Falcons, Cowboys, Vikings, and Steelers, Dolphins are our three
Steelers,
primetime
Dolphins.
games.
For this one, Steelers are 3-point favorites. I'm taking the Dolphins for no other reason. There's no football reason for me to take this other than it would just be really funny to watch Aaron Rodgers lose.
I'm taking the Dolphins because I think they're a better football team right now. I
Okay, you have an actual
Pittsburgh,
reason.
not in the topsy-turvy Hall of Fame, but they're honorable mention. I I, I don't know that I don't think either of these teams is any good, to be honest with you.
No,
And
no,
I just, my wife, I don't know if you could hear on the podcast, but my wife is fuming at me right now because she's a Steelers fan. And famously, I don't know that I've ever correctly picked the Steelers game. So she should really be thanking me because I think I'm guaranteeing a Steelers W on my
they're gonna win
birthday,
by 25.
nonetheless. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I really felt forced to choose this game. I did not choose this game gleefully.
No, no one
I
did.
took no
All right, well,
pleasure in making a selection here, but I'm going with the Dolphins for I don't really have a lot of football reasons either because other than I do think Mike McDaniel is a really good coach and whether he gets I don't think he'll get fired this year because they've won enough, but I do think he's a good coach and if he does get fired, I would be banging down the door to have him be an offensive coordinator for a team that I've rooted for.
absolutely. I would hire every single team in the league outside of maybe like what San Francisco and Kansas City could use his services. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like the Colts would, and the Broncos and the Colts, the two teams I root for, would never do it because they have play calling head coaches.
you know,
So, but
which based off of what I've seen the last couple of weeks, maybe the Colts need to have that conversation. But
I don't know. This is
beside
an
the point,
offline conversation, but I think Shane Steichen still deserves Coach of the Year consideration for milking that out of Daniel Jones while he was healthy.
it looks good for a minute. All right, so we got some fun segments here, and this one was born out of the Indianapolis Colts current situation. If for some reason you've been living under a rock and you were not aware, the Colts signed Philip Rivers. Yes, Philip Rivers to the practice squad this week. 44-year-old grandfather who has not played since 2021
It's
to
a
the
meme.
practice
I'm sorry.
squad.
Can I? I'm gonna let you finish setting up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And for this, my mind is absolutely boggled, frazzled, sauteed, fried, whatever you want to call it. I have no idea what's going to happen. I just know I'm going to have a lot of fun watching whatever is going to be put in front of me over the next few weeks as a Colts fan. Playoffs gone. I knew that as soon as he threw that first pick on the first pass of the game against Jacksonville, my hope for the playoffs was gone. That was
Brutal.
before Daniel Jones got hurt or anything. So this segment, we are going to do a draft. You know I love a draft.
Wait, Jesse,
And
real quick before we get
yes,
into the actual game, can I insert my rant
yes,
about the Phillips?
interject.
Okay, this is the dumbest thing I think that has ever happened to the Colts, and they hired Jeff Saturday to coach the team. It's insane. Like, are we so for real right now? You're gonna hire a grandfather, which I love that every tweet highlights that he's a grandfather. He's 44. He hasn't played football since 2021, and you're like, yeah, this is the move. Not like, hey, maybe there's like a practice squad guy who like is young and maybe has some upside and we could try to sign him and like, I don't know, just try or like some other veteran. If you're like a 27-year-old journeyman free agent quarterback right now, you might as well just hang it up because an NFL team with more desperate a need than maybe has existed outside of the Denver Broncos that one game just passed you up for like a math teacher. This man should be bagging groceries or taking his kids to soccer practice. And the Colts are, and what makes me the most upset is that it is just a shameless PR move. Hey, remember
Oh,
that guy that we had that one time that like we were kind of decent? He's back. Hey, remember that
he's
he was
gonna die.
almost a
That's
Hall
the
of Fame
problem.
quarterback? Like, remember that? Do you remember Do you remember digital or physical media? Like, do you remember any of these things? Like, it's asinine. You cannot look me in the eye and tell me that there are football reasons propelling this move. All right, that's it. That's all I have.
So
Sorry,
the
sorry
segment
if that hurt
is,
when you snorted your Sprite.
oh, it's the Sprite Cherry Lime Chill. If
Oh, I
Coca-Cola
had no
wants to,
chill, so I'm glad one of us had some chill.
you might need one. Go ahead and try it. Um, for this segment, we're going to do a draft, and we are picking five each. It's a standard, not snake draft, so we're just going to go one after the other. And we are picking other ridiculous options that the Colts could pick up for playing quarterback for the rest of the season. And this is meant to be off the walls. This is not meant to be like, oh, they should have asked the Giants if they could release Jameis Winston or some stupid stuff like. Don't give me an actual answer, right? I want something absolutely off the walls, bananas. All right, so I will go ahead and defer, and I will give you the first pick. And I'm very curious to see who you are taking with the first pick of this draft.
Well, well, I was so burned in the last draft that the one guy that I absolutely know that you might also think of that I have to leave here with, um, I just referenced him, Kendall Hinton, the Broncos wide receiver. I know,
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't still play for the Broncos, but he was the wide receiver that started at quarterback the game. They had no quarterbacks because of COVID. Um, Surely he's watched some teach tapes since that game, and at least he has started a game at quarterback since Philip Rivers retired and could move functionally. It's Philip Rivers and his Walker are not getting away from a pass rush. Like I'm sorry, like it is.
To
It's
be fair,
also.
Philip Rivers in his prime wasn't getting away from the pass rush either.
I'm sorry. I thought I was done, but I have one more thing. It is medical malpractice to put him out there, and honestly, he's bringing shame upon his. Like, if I was his wife, I would be so upset with him. Like, you're telling me that he's just like you're in 4 years of your retirement, you're so bored that like the first time somebody calls you at this point, you're like, yeah, please, like, let me come out there and get beat to shit for 4 weeks for no reason. Like, yeah, let's do it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Kendall Hinton 1-1. Jesse, your pick.
Kendall hitting 1-1. All right. My first pick, give me Airbud, the
Airbud is a
classic.
good one.
Yes, the classic golden retriever. He could absolutely step in and run this offense right now. A little RPO action. Easy first pick for me. Airbud all the way.
Okay. Did you say snake or no snake?
No snake, so go ahead.
Okay. Pick two for me is you know what? If we're in the business of old quarterbacks, right, that have been retired for perhaps a few years, this is your chance to get even with the Denver Broncos for claiming Peyton Manning's legacy. Call up John Elway. What is John Elway doing right now? Let's get John Elway behind center. And then you could start doing all this propaganda with John Elway as a Colt, and you could finally stick it to the Broncos for taking Peyton from you.
All right. Pick number two, and I honestly can't believe you didn't take him before me. This one was very obvious, I think, and I kind of gave it to you on a silver platter. But give me Salvador Dali.
I honestly, I thought I could sneak him past you in the third round.
one of the absolute goats in the painting game. Just an eccentric guy. Do I think he can play quarterback? Probably not, but I think he'll probably be as effective as Philip Rivers will be.
All right, so I'm gonna switch it up because I feel good that I'm gonna get my last two guys 4 and 5. So I'm gonna change for pick three. Give me Flat Stanley. Because look, at
What
worst,
a
they're
throwback!
not going to be able to sack him, right? Like he at best you could just constantly run. You know how undefeated the tush push would be if your quarterback could just
So
slip between the A gap. Like it's not even like diving through the A gap. It's literally
there's
just like and look, Jonathan Taylor, he's a crafty running back. How quickly do you think he could paper airplane Flat Stanley and just yuck him to the end zone? Quarterback power is going to be undefeated.
that's a solid pick. That's a solid pick. All right. For my third pick, give me Shaquille O'Neal's mother, Lucille.
Sure.
Yep, I'm taking Lucille O'Neal on this one. Again, just one of those people who's been around the game for a minute. I think she would be a solid addition. We're looking for veteran presence. I think she'd be there.
All right, that's a strong pick. My fourth pick, I'm calling up Tony Del Vecchio from Backyard Football. He has that right amount of moxie.
He does. He does have that
You
moxie.
need a leader. Look, you don't just need a quarterback, right? You don't just need a live arm. Your team is reeling. I mean, Even like 2-bit podcasters like us are saying their season's over. You need somebody to come in that I don't give a shit attitude and just sling the
Hmm.
rock. That's Tony Del Vecchio. Throwing was his best power. Also, an NFL player like popping bubblegum while ripping a frozen rope
Goes
down the
hard.
seam. Cool as
Goes
shit.
absolutely hard.
Easy pick.
All right. For pick number four, give me John Steinbeck, the author of Mice and Men. Just
Yeah.
classic Hall of Fame level caliber stuff going on
Tight
there.
spiral, I heard.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the tightest spirals in the game.
Yeah, that's great. John Steinbeck is insane. I'm sorry. All of your picks are insane, but John Steinbeck, can I ask you, how did you do this? Did you just think of the most random people you could think of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'll read you the whole list when I'm done too.
All right. I honestly, I realized as we started that I had written the same person twice because I'd written Backyard Football Guy and then also Tony Del Vecchio because I couldn't remember his name at first. I was like, shit. So Flat Stanley was off the dome. I had
That's
to
a
think of
solid
something
one off
right
the
there.
dome. That is
My
an
final
incredible poll.
See, I love this is why we play these games, Jesse, because we always slightly take different angles. Usually you're more serious and I'm more like,
Yep.
what the hell is that? So I like this role reversal for us. My final pick, I tried to take 5 people who I thought could actually like move the football forward. And I don't know if you remember that video of Kelsey Plum launching t-shirts into the crowd.
Oh, what a
Like
pick.
give her 20 dropbacks. See what she could do, you
Yes.
know? She's free.
She's
They're in
got
the
it.
off season. Let's get
She
Kelsey Plum
absolutely
a chin
rifled
strap, you
that
know?
thing.
Bonus points if did Darren Waller retire again? Like I can't keep
No, I
up
think
with.
he's still I thought he was still playing.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. So he's still with the Dolphins. Colts do not play the Dolphins, but I would have also given her a lifetime contract just for the Dolphin or the Kelsey Plum game against Darren Waller. But I'm gonna take
That would have
Kelsey
been
Plum.
incredible.
Take 5.
All right. So pick number five. Honestly, really surprised he's still on the board. I really thought you would have taken him three or four, and after you didn't, I was like, okay, I don't think he's on his board. So felt pretty safe waiting until number five. But I think honestly, this might end up being my best pick and puts me over the edge. I'm going with the original Paul McCartney. Not the one that they replaced him with after he died. I'm talking about the actual
Yeah.
first Paul
No,
McCartney.
I agree. Yeah, the
Uh,
flesh and blood
yeah,
one.
yeah, the original Paul McCartney, I think, is going to round out this team really solidly.
You know, people don't want to hear this, but right about the time that they replaced all the birds with drones, they also replaced Paul McCartney. People don't know that.
All right. Do you want to hear my honorable mentions?
Yeah, I just have one that I had written down. Actually, I have two. Before I pivoted to John Elway because I realized the delicious angle, I had Dan Marino down because we
Excellent.
know he's free on Sundays. You know, he's doing whatever CBS show he's doing. And then I put Blue back there. I've seen enough highlights from the
Oh
mascot
yeah.
games. Let
Put
him
it back
go,
there.
you know. Who
He'll mess them up. He'll
they're
mess some
playing
people
who
up.
this week? He could truck a dude.
Oh yeah. Playing
I've already
Seattle.
forgotten. We picked 16 games. I've forgotten who the Colts play. Seattle. Oh yeah, no, easy,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. He's scoring at least two. All right. So the rest of my list, I got Marie Kondo because she can have my offense spark joy.
It
I
hasn't
have
done that
Del
in a while.
Curry. I have Del Curry on there. I have Ludacris as long as he doesn't sing the song My Chick Bad because it's the worst song in rap history.
You're
Uh,
joking. You really?
Awful song.
No,
Awful
Jesse.
song.
Ludacris has way
Go
worse
read the
songs
lyrics.
than My Chick
Go
Bad.
read the lyrics. It makes me irrationally angry.
Buddy,
Um,
it's not a song you listen to find deeper meaning. It's a song you listen to find the bad bitch in the club.
there are better songs for that.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
The man wrote Blueberry Yum Yum, and you're gonna say My Chick Bad
it
is the
makes
worst.
me so angry.
You're crazy.
It makes me so angry. Brandon Flowers, the lead singer of The Killers.
Okay.
I had Franklin Jonas, the forgotten Jonas brother,
Off my
on
board,
there.
character concern. Can't trust him.
Olivia Newton-John was on there as well.
Right. Yeah. Of
LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow.
Mm-hmm. Of
Tilda Swinton,
course. She's great
Desi
at playing
Arnaz,
ethnicities that she's not.
Desi Arnaz, and Frida Kahlo's sister Christina. That
Can I
was my
add
big
two
board.
more that I thought of just off the top of my head?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
would like to see Wally. Um,
That'd be oh,
very interested in Wally. I'm also very interested in one of the thumb guys from Spy Kids.
Fucking the Fooglies, what were they called?
Yeah, the Fooglies or whatever they are. Give me one of those. And matter of fact, while we're out here, right? Just we're just talking. Give me give me the good dinosaur. Like what's he up to
Oh, the
these days?
good
He needs a
dinosaur.
role. He's
He
looking for
does.
work. The LinkedIn. I've seen him on LinkedIn. Let's get him back
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. All right. Well, we got one more fun little segment to do on the other side of this that will
I'm not
hopefully
having
take
any
us
more
a
fun now that you've slandered my chick bed. That was crazy.
out of all the things that I've
Body
ever
looking
said.
like milk. Like you don't like
It's
that? That doesn't fire you
awful.
up?
The way that he says balloons in that song is so whimsical.
Balloons.
It's
Up
uh
and up.
it
Balloons.
makes me want to break glass. Like it truly does. Can't I can't handle it. We'll see on the other side of this
Great
break
Nick.
so I
It's a
can
great
gather
Nicki
myself
verse.
here.
It's a great Nicki verse. He's a hater. Don't listen to him.
The Nicki verse is solid. I will give you that one.
All right, we'll catch you on the other side of this break.
I gotta calm down. I gotta drink my chill.
All right.
You know what? And one more thing, folks, as we come back, I'm just going right into it. One
Oh,
more thing on my chick bad here. I am not over this. All right, I'm pulling up the lyrics. All right, it's really once we get right before the Nicki verse. Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
I'll pull it back up. I was
Here it is.
just I was
It
I,
says,
I was
"I
just
fill her
jabbing with
up
you.
balloons, tester and guns get drawn like cartoons." His enunciation on the word cartoons
Hold on.
is infuriating.
Guns get drawn like cartoons.
Cartoons. It's the worst. I can't.
The worst line
And
from this, honestly, is none of the ones you've said, but don't. But I am talking about Homer.
that one also is pretty.
The Nicki verse is fun, but it's not very good. Um,
Running down
but
the court, I'm dunking on him. Lisa Leslie goes outrageously hard.
it does go pretty hard. Trash talk to him, then I put him in a hefty. Like this was Nicki at the peak of her powers.
She really was. Alrighty, so for our
Oh, and
last,
I'm sorry. Last line. I'm gonna read you one ludicrous bar, and I want you to look me in the eye and tell me it's not hard. Coming out swinging like Tiger Woods' wife.
that is the solid. I will give him that one.
Yeah,
It
come on,
almost
man.
redeems the song.
That was
That
that
it's
was
a good line. It's a good
it
line,
was a good
but the
bar.
rest of the song is so irredeemably bad that it gets swallowed up by it.
I'm gonna have to
I
think
haven't.
of some like what song do I hate? Like
Man, you got me riled up in a way that I have not been this frustrated in a minute.
both of us, we both had our little crash outs here. This is the crash out episode.
All right, so fun segment number two. This one's pretty simple. It doesn't get into the weird that the last one did.
Well,
I
it's
just
gonna
wanted to
be weird,
find
but for a
it would
different
be
reason.
weird, but um, I wanted to find five of the funniest sports tweets that we could remember kind of off the top of our head. And for this one, I do want to preface it. I said tweets, yes, because it is still Twitter and
It
will
is
always be
Twitter for
Twitter.
sure.
Um, so for this, I figured we could just read them off real quick, and I'll go ahead and go first for this one. But the
Do you
original
want to
tweet
alternate or
was,
you're gonna do all yours?
let's alternate. It'll be fun to
Okay.
alternate. So Shador Sanders tweeted and said, "It's a spiritual war going on. Trust in God." Right? Just simple tweet coming from him. My friend Ethan, who I used to write with at 8.9 seconds, quote tweeted it during the Scott Foster game of the NBA Finals, and it says, "Me watching the refs against the Pacers."
Damn, that's
That's
good.
fair. That was a good one.
I've never met Ethan, but I've interacted with him enough on Twitter that I enjoy his
Yeah,
content.
he's a good dude.
All right, you want my pick 1-1?
Yes.
Um, for my money, I think this is the funniest. Hold on, it's a series of tweets, but I
Okay.
think it makes me laugh the most when and a lot of these I thought of like 11 off the dome, so I know I'm gonna leave some out. But this was an exchange between two Twitter users in 2019. The original tweet said, "Imagine if he stayed,"
That was on my list too.
and then a woman
I
quote
love this
tweeted
one.
it and said, "Imagine if he left me alone from the jump." And the guy said, "What are you even talking about?" And the girl said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Kawhi Leonard."
Hi, Leonard. That's an all-timer.
All time, every time I see that, I cackle.
So
It's
good.
so funny.
Oh, it's so good. This one's a fairly recent one, and it was this picture of Paige Beckers.
Yes.
And it was when she asked the ref, "Do you need my glasses?" Which Awesome, right? I love it. I'm here for it. And this guy replies and says, nobody asked, but she's maybe a -1, possibly a -1.5. And this guy replies to him and says, and you're dying alone. So what? The guy's an optometrist. If you go to his profile, and he
He's
was
talking
guessing
about
her
his
script.
prescription. That's good. I feel like I vaguely remember seeing that.
Oh, that would make me laugh for a couple of days.
Here's another one. Cardale Jones was once the subject of a. He's got a couple contenders. This is not the play school one. This is
It's so
even
everything that he
better.
put.
Um, there was like a Bleacher Report article that said Cardale Jones visits kid in hospital to play video games, beats him 91-35. Cardale Jones tweeted and said, "Man, I wish everyone would stop saying I beat a kid in the hospital 91-35. It was 98-35. Had 91 with 126 left in the fourth."
He's got to set the record straight.
He's like, "I wish you would stop saying I beat that kid's ass because I beat it even worse."
This is another one actually from last week that I enjoyed very much. It says Indiana was the worst team in college football for 150
Great
years,
one.
and then they let teams start paying players, and they immediately became number one. The only conclusion to draw is that they were the only ones who didn't realize you could pay players under the table for the first 150 years.
I this was on my list. I saw this tweet, thought it was so funny. My mom saw this tweet and showed it to me, and I finished the tweet for her when she was reading it out loud to me, and she just kind of looked at me like, I was like, I've looked at this tweet a lot because
I've
it's
seen it.
very funny. That's a great one. Another all-timer is Terry Rozier in 2011. Uh, no context provided. This is the full tweet. Osama should have hooped instead of trying to kill people because he tall as hell.
That
He was,
sounds
I'm
like
pretty
scary
sure,
Terry. He
actively
was like
playing.
6'4", wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a tall dude. And then Terry Rozier later, like 10 years later, like replied to it and was like, I don't know what I was doing or what I was thinking when I tweeted this, but damn.
All right. This next one also from last week. It was from the Sunday night football game where Rashee Rice got absolutely planted
I saw this one
over
too.
the middle. And it from NFL memes says Rashee Rice finally understands what it feels like to get unexpectedly hit at a high rate of speed and have the man responsible leave the scene.
That's a good one. Um, I'm gonna squeeze two quick ones in real fast because they're very short tweets. We're gonna be going for a while, I sense. So,
Oh yes.
um, one of my favorite tweets is this lady tweeting at CJ McCollum and begging him, being like, "Why don't you make the playoffs?" And then him tweeting, "I'm trying, Jennifer." Is a load bearing phrase in my life. I'm trying, Jennifer. And then also I want to shout out Kevin Durant has a lot of. Actually, I'll wait because
Oh,
there's a lot of Kevin
everything that
Durant.
Kevin Durant says.
Um, but the other one I'll shout out real quick is Stephen A. Smith once tweeted, "Take a look, y'all," and then the words like image underscore
Yeah,
4346
that's an all-timer.
all timer.
Um, this one was back from July, and it was Darth Vader, instead of saying where's Padme, is she safe? Is she all right? It says where's Red Panda? Is she safe? Is she all right
That's a
from her
classic
wrist
one.
injury?
All
Poor
right.
Red Panda.
Um, Vernon Maxwell, Utah Jazz legend, once tweeted, "I'd like to apologize to Jazz fans that were offended by my tweets." Or actually, no, he played for the Rockets, I think. He played against the Jazz because he's always dunking on people from Utah. "I'd like to apologize to Jazz fans that were offended by my tweets. If I knew you guys had internet in Utah, I never would have made those tweets." It's a good one.
Um, this was a tweet from it was from Shams originally when Malik Beasley was being accused of gambling on NBA games.
Hmm.
And the quote tweet was, who could have foreseen such a disgraceful act on the sanctity of our game? We'll have more on this in a few, but at first, a quick word from our sponsor, FanDuel. Sign up with the code conflict of interest to get a no sweat bet to get up to $20 back if your first parlay loses.
Is it embarrassing how many of these I'm like, oh yeah, I know that tweet.
Mhm.
Chronically online.
Yep.
Blake Griffin on August
Oh,
15th, 2011. Accidentally hit a squirrel yesterday in my car. Feel so guilty I could barely sleep. Casey Anthony is a monster.
That has to be the best one.
And that is so good. Every time I'm like, this is my favorite, I'm like, no, I'm forgetting about this other one. I think the Blake Griffin one is my actual favorite.
How about Magic Johnson back on March 7th, 2014? The only way San Antonio or Miami don't win the championship is if neither team makes the finals.
That's a good one. Uh, let's see what to go with next. I'm gonna
Oh, I
go
got
with.
one.
I've got some Kevin Durant ones I'm ready to fire off.
I'm ready.
Number one, Kevin Durant really shouldn't have had the internet as a young man because he
No,
tweeted,
no.
"ScarJo, I will drink your bathwater." Hashtag random.
The hashtag's the worst part of that tweet.
He also tweeted in 2010, hashtag you ever wake up in the middle of the night and think about a girl you like or starting to like and sit at the edge of the bed and say, damn, I want her. He was actively in the NBA when he tweeted that.
Oh yeah, he was a problem in the early Twitter days. How about Charlie Villanueva, March 15th, 2009? In the locker room, snuck to post to my twit. We're playing the Celtics. Tie ball game at the half. Coach wants more toughness. I gotta step up.
That's the very, I think that's the very first athlete to tweet in at like halftime.
So good.
One more quick Kevin Durant. This was a reply in 2021 to somebody he was arguing with that was like, dude, chill. Like you're arguing with nobodies. And he said, "There's no relax, champ. No relax when I'm on Twitter. I'm on 10 till the second I close the app. You relax." Also, one that I had forgotten about until I was searching for to remember a different tweet that I will come across. Um, but Kate Upton tweeted in 2016, "Hey at MLB, I thought I was the only person allowed to fuck Justin Verlander. What two writers didn't have him on the ballot?"
That's a good one.
All timer.
That's a good one. Um, what else do I have here? Oh, someone tweeted the Thunder genuinely scare me, and someone quote tweeted it, dogs during a storm.
My the probably the most load bearing tweet is from 2021. Jesse will know it as soon as I start, but it says every time I see an Angels highlight, it's like Mike Trout hit 3 home runs and raised his average to 528, while Shohei Ohtani did something that hasn't been done since Tungsten Armo Doyle of the 1921 Akron Groomsmen as the Tigers defeated the Angels 8-3. Tungsten Armo Doyle is like a regular part of my vocabulary.
It's so good. Um, we're forgetting probably the greatest NBA tweet of all time, though, was when the 76ers traded Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid just posted this image
Yes, that's a good one.
and
Showed
he
up to my
tries to
biggest
pass it
hater's
off
funeral,
later.
had to make sure he was dead.
He tries to pass it off later on. He's like, I just thought he looked nice. I thought he was dressed nicely.
Joel Embiid had some thirsty tweets when he first got drafted. There were a lot of
Yep,
Joel
another one of
tweets
his just came up on here. Babe, are you single or not? At Rihanna.
at Rihanna. Yeah. Okay, so this one was a survey posted. The results were posted by somebody called YouGov, and it said 1 in 8 men, which is 12%, say they could win a point in a game of tennis against 23-time Grand Slam winner Serena Williams. So this guy quote tweeted it and said, "Confident in my ability to properly tennis, I take the court. I smile at my opponent. Serena does not return the gesture. She'd be prettier if she did, I think. She serves. The ball passes cleanly through my skull, killing me instantly."
That's fair. That
It's
is fair. Oh man. We could honestly do this all night and mostly just with Kevin Durant stuff, but this
I
is
have
fun. I think we'll have to have a part two for sure.
I have one more I want to squeeze in.
Do it.
It's a pretty recent tweet. It reads, "Do football players have to wear helmets to stop them from kissing each other on the lips?"
That's a good one.
That's all. Yeah, we honestly, Jesse, just sometimes I'll peel behind the curtain here. Sometimes when Jesse and I get together, and our wives would attest to this, probably to their chagrin somewhat. Sometimes we'll just go back and forth reading each other like onion headlines that we think are really funny,
It's
and
a
it will
great
go like
pastime.
30 plus minutes.
It really is.
So we were built for this.
Oh, okay. I got one more before we head out here.
Okay.
Um, So Saquon Barkley got over 2,000 yards at 3:37 p.m. Eastern Time. Jimmy Carter died at 3:40 p.m. Eastern Time. The last thing Jimmy Carter saw before he died was Saquon Barkley getting to 2,000 yards.
Damn. That's really good.
And on that note, that has been another episode of the Spillin It Pod. We have completely lost the plot here on these fun segments, but I look forward to them every single time that
Yeah.
we do them. We'll be back next week. We're gonna try to do another double episode and double up for Christmas because I will be out of the country on vacation
You're going
during
out
the
of the,
actual
did I
week of
know you were
Christmas.
going out of the country?
I don't know. I'm going on a cruise.
Oh, yes, no, I did know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Exciting times. I will be sleeping and playing on my Switch for the vast majority of that time and enjoying way too much food that I've already paid for up front. So, with that being said, this has been the Spill in It Pod. Ben, you got anything else to say before we head out?
Mm, I thought I did, but I don't think so. Just remember, folks, in the famous words of the formerly San Diego Chargers Twitter account, so hungry, need to find my wife and go to PF Chang's.
That says it all right there. With that being said, I'm Jesse. That is Ben. Have a good one. We will see you guys next time.
Adios.